Hey YouTube, coming back at you with video number 2. This is John. I just want to say this video is going to be a lot less time than my last video. I'm going to try to keep it around 10 minutes. It might go over a minute or so, but please don't shoot me. Anyways, this one, I want to talk about strings. So many different brands of strings out there, so many different kinds. What do you do? What do strings really matter? Does it really matter if it's what brand you buy, or is it just all the same thing, or if it's not? And my answer is, yeah, they're all different. They are all different. There's a reason why there's so many different brands of strings. There's a difference in tone, there's a difference in tension, there's a difference in feel, there's a difference in everything. Little side note, I am not endorsed by any of these companies. I do not get paid. I'm not getting paid to review any guitar strings. I'm not getting paid by any company to bash on another company or to like another company. I will be focusing more on the main brands of strings. I know there's so many out there. There's so many different types of strings out there, but I'll be focusing on stuff like, Ernie Ball, D'Addario, DR strings, there's also Dunlop, which I don't have any right now. I actually just used my last set of Dunlops. There's also GHS, and there's Elixir. There's so many different brands out there that, I can't get them to them all. So first thing I'm going to talk about is tone. And tone really does make a difference with the strings. Example, my buddy, he'll probably watch this video. My buddy, he had a G&L Superhawk, and he had a set of Dunlop strings on it. And great sounding guitar, had this really aggressive, like growly low mids to it, really nice sound. And my Gibson was a little more brighter sounding, and I was like, man, oh man, why is his sound really nice and burly and mine doesn't? So I thought it might have been his pickup, changed out pickups. Long story short, after I took off his Dunlop strings, I put a set of D'Addario on there, and it was all of a sudden way brighter. It had more of an upper mid-range content, a little more brightness to it, and I was like, whoa. And that right there opened up my eyes to say there is a difference in the tonality of strings, because all I did was, buy a string, oh yeah, these work, and then buy some Ernie Ball, oh, these work, and then I find one, I played these for probably like a good 8 years. I've been playing D'Addario until I realized that there's other brands out there and there are other things. So if you're a beginner, if you're an intermediate, if you're even an advanced person, you just want to try a different set of strings. Maybe you're tired of how bright your guitar sounds sometimes, and maybe you need something a little different. Maybe it's something to warm it up. Maybe there's a different brand of strings. So let's talk about different brands of strings and maybe their tonal characteristics. Now, as I said before, Dunlop have a little more low mids to them than I feel. They don't really have, some people find them dull. Doesn't mean they're dull. It just means it depends on the guitar that you have. If you have a guitar that's a darker sounding guitar, and you put on a set of strings that are darker sounding strings, and you have a pickup in there that's a darker sounding pickup, yeah, it's going to sound dull. You might want to get something like the Ernie Ball or the D'Addario, where they're going to be a little bit brighter. But if you have a guitar that's a little bit brighter and has maybe a little brighter set of pickups in it, maybe you want to try something like the Dunlop, or even the DR strings. I actually play these a lot, the DR strings. I play them on my main Les Paul, as you saw in the last video, my 77. I play these in drop C. Also, I play these on not this particular gauge, I have other gauges of DR strings, but this series, I play these series on my other Les Paul P90s. Why? They're a little bit warmer. They have a little more punch in the mid-range. Two things I really like for those particular guitars. Now, guitars like my Electra, as you saw in the last video, they might get something like the D'Addario, or they may get something like the Ernie Ball, because that guitar is a little bit darker of a guitar, and the pickups in that guitar are a PAF style pickup, which that's another argument another day, because I'm not going to get into that. But they have a PAF style pickup, and the pickups are a little bit on the warmer side, and the guitar is definitely on the warmer side. So I actually like the strings that give it a little more brightness, give it a little more life to the strings. Now, with now, if you're wondering, I keep holding up these two because they're a little bit on the brighter side. Now, I feel like Ernie Ball are a little brighter than D'Addario, but they're brighter in a different aspect. These are brighter in the aspect of when they break in, they still retain that brightness actually very well. When these break in, they do warm up a little bit, but it's not as warm as something like the DR or the Dunlop or something like that. They're just a little warmer than the Ernie Ball. So that's basically covers the gist of tonality between different brands of strings. Different brands of strings will offer, and maybe you try a certain set and you're like, oh, I didn't feel that way. Well, it's personal preference. It also depends on your guitar. It depends on your amp. It depends on how you're setting everything up. So what I'm here to tell you is, if you're feeling like everything's too dark, too muddy, too this, too that, maybe try something that's a little bit, brighter. I play these on a 7. I play D'Addario or even, Ernie Ball on a 7-string because it's a little bit darker of a guitar. I want something that's going to punch through. I play these sometimes mostly in standard tuning or brighter sounding guitars or even in drop C, because these sound great with my Les Paul with the bare knuckle pickups in it because they have this mid range and it just punches right through. Now, feel wise, why do these all feel different? Yes, they do. Now, when I say, I play 10 to 52s in drop C, people look at me like I'm crazy because most of the time people who are playing 10 to 52s are playing something like a 11 to 54 set. There's also drop down tune 11 to 54s. There's even D'Addario 11 to 56. There's so many thick gauge, but here's the thing. The tension of these strings allow me to play these strings in drop C without any issue. I don't have any issue with being too floppy, being too this, being too that. Whereas if I was to play, say, maybe a different brand in drop C, I would have to play the Ernie Ball in 11 to 54. Why? Ernie Ball, when they say slinky, they really do mean slinky. When these strings do break in, they really get slinky. And something like an 1154 keeps up better with, say, something like drop C versus, maybe even the DR. The D'Addario. The D'Addario are like the DR in the aspect of they have a little more tension to them. So, if you want to string with a little more tension to it, and maybe something like a DR or the D'Addario or even, the Dunlop are like 50-50. They're not quite as much tension, I feel like, as the DR or the D'Addario, but they're not as slinky as the Ernie Ball. If you're someone who really likes slinky strings, try these. I actually did the challenge recently with the 7. I got a set of Dunlop 7s. And because I wanted to try them, and they were definitely really flexible, really slinky. I also have a set of D'Addario 8s here because I know Jimmy Page a lot of times use 8s. I want to try something different. These are actually going to go on my Electra next because I wanted to see how they feel on the Electra because that I'm playing more of like classic rock with that guitar, blues rock, stuff like that. And it, like I said, it's a little darker guitar. I want a little brighter string. So, what do we learn here today is that strings really do matter. They do make a huge difference. It makes a difference between the brand. It makes a difference between feel and tension. And what I also mean by feel is actually how they physically feel. You also have, for example, you have stuff like these drop tune strings, which are a hex core. Now, I'm not going to talk poorly about any company, as best as I can, but at the same token, I need to let you know if there's something I don't like because I want to be honest with you guys. You guys are, you guys could be a brand new guitar player and you could be thinking, hex core is better because it's going to give me more tension. Yeah, it does give you more tension, but here's the thing. If you have something that's like a hex, like that is shaped like this, and then you got something that's round. If you got something round that's going on hex, see how I have a little space there in between my fingers? That's what's actually happening with hex core, is that you actually do have a little space when you're wrapping it. Whereas something like the round core, they may be a little slinkier, or they may be a little a little bendier, a little more flexible, but believe me, well, I mean, when it comes to DRs, these are like, you can't budge them. You really can't bend these strings at all. Like, I had a really hard time bending 11 to 54 drop down tunes because they were just so chunky, and because they're the hex core. But anyways, if you like what you heard, let me know. If you want to subscribe, I'm going to be coming out with more stuff every week. Please give me a thumbs up if you like it. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you love my videos, if you hate my videos, if there's something that you want me to change, if you want them a little longer or not longer. But hey, my name's John. This is your guitar knowledge for the week, okay? I'll see you back next week with another topic. Take care, guys.